Nobody knows what happened to Granger Taylor, and that is the problem. In 1980, Granger Taylor said goodnight to his parents on their property outside Duncan, British Columbia, and then he vanished, leaving behind a handwritten note about boarding an alien spacecraft with his truck, his workshop, and a countryside search turning up nothing but a scorched patch of gravel. Keep that patch of gravel in mind. We will come back to it, because it is the one piece of evidence nobody has ever been able to explain. Granger Taylor was 32 years old, a millwright and self-taught mechanic known around Duncan for being able to fix almost anything with an engine. He lived in a trailer on his parents' rural property, surrounded by tools, spare parts, and half-finished machines. He had rebuilt a Spitfire engine from scratch. He had assembled a steam locomotive from junkyard pieces. For the last several years of his life, he had become consumed by one project, a scale replica of a flying saucer built by hand in his workshop, wired with lights, fitted with a hatch. Neighbors thought it was an eccentric hobby. His parents thought it was harmless. On the night of November 29, 1980, nothing about the evening looked different from any other. He ate dinner. He worked in the shop. He said goodnight. Sometime after that, Granger Taylor sat down and wrote his parents a letter. In it, he explained that he had been chosen to join a group of extraterrestrials aboard their ship for a mission he described as scientifically important, and that the journey would last approximately 440 days. He asked them not to worry. He said he would return. He left the note where they would find it in the morning, and then he walked out of the trailer sometime before dawn. By the time his parents woke and read the letter, there was no sign of him anywhere on the property. His truck was gone. His dog had not been taken. His tools, still laid out mid-project on the workshop bench, were untouched. The search that followed covered the ground a missing person search should cover, and then some. Police and volunteers combed the forested acreage around the family property. They checked the ferry terminals and the highway north toward Nanaimo. They interviewed everyone who had spoken to him in his final weeks. 3 days later, Granger Taylor's pickup truck was found abandoned on a logging road not far from home, and next to it, a scene that still has no clean explanation. Scattered across the gravel were fragments of scorched metal, twisted and blackened as though something had detonated at low intensity close to the ground. There was no crater. There was no fire damage to the surrounding brush. There was no blood, no clothing, no body. Whatever had happened at that spot, it had happened quietly enough to leave the forest around it completely undisturbed. For decades, the leading theory has been the simplest one investigators could reach for. That Granger Taylor, isolated and increasingly fixated on his alien beliefs, staged his own disappearance, possibly with an explosive device he built himself, as a way to end his life without his parents having to find a body. It is a theory that fits the note, fits the scorched metal, fits a man who spent years building machines by hand. But the theory runs into a fact that does not sit still. If Granger Taylor intended that spot to be his end, the physical evidence does not match. The metal fragments recovered from the site were later examined and found inconsistent with a blast large enough to destroy a person and leave nothing behind. Investigators could never identify what, specifically, had exploded, or confirm that an explosion had happened there at all rather than being staged. No remains were ever recovered, not fragments, not tissue, not anything a forensics team could match to a human being. A theory built to explain the disappearance could not account for the one thing it needed to explain, where the body went. And that is the detail that makes this case genuinely unexplainable, not the note, not the flying saucer in the workshop. It is that a full-grown man vanished from a small, searched rural property in under 12 hours, leaving a vehicle, a scorched patch of ground, and absolutely nothing that forensic science could ever connect to a death. No confirmed explosion, no confirmed remains, no confirmed sighting ever in the 45 years since. The case remains open with the Duncan detachment of the RCMP to this day. Sightings have been reported over the years, a man resembling him, decades older, glimpsed in passing, none of them ever verified. His family kept the note. Nobody has ever offered an explanation that accounts for every piece of what was left behind. So if Granger Taylor did not survive that night, where is he? And if he did, why has no one who loved him ever heard from him again?